What is up, my butter biscuits? So in today's video, I have another review for y'all. I'm really excited because I feel like I'm doing a lot of reviews, which makes me really happy. A lot of products don't really pique my interest anymore, but these past products have been like really making me want to do a review of them, like the KVD Good Apple Foundation, which, by the way, I wanted to touch base on that like really fast. I obviously read a lot of comments and a lot of people are saying that it wears horribly. However, for me personally, it did not wear bad. And this is the thing where I told y'all before, I'm so open about this. I get so irritated doing reviews as much as I love doing them. A lot of people are always like, well, this is bad and that's bad, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, y'all, what works for me may not work for you. And what works for y'all may not work for me. Like, that's just the way it is. Not all of our skin is going to be the same. And not all of our expectations are going to be the same. Not all of our preferences are going to be the same. I feel like I'm like constantly saying this over and over. And I just feel like at this point, I should just give up on even saying that, because I feel like no matter what, people are always going to complain about something. And I'm just like, y'all, if it works for me and it don't work for you, I'm sorry. You know what works for you and it doesn't work for me, okay? Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know why people take it so like personally or get so like bothered about it. Like, I really like the way that Good Apple Foundation wore on me. However, I will say though, I did literally sit there all day. Like, I just sat there. I did not go for a walk. I didn't go to the store. I didn't even put on a mask. I literally sat there in my room watching TV the whole entire time. So maybe that's why it wore so good on me, because a lot of people were saying, so many people complaining about what it wears. Like, are you telling the truth? Wait, did it really wear good on you? Or are you just saying it? Do you want to just really like it? And I'm like, y'all, like, if y'all watch all of my reviews, I have absolutely no problem whatsoever stating that I don't like a product. I've said it several times before. And that's where I get a little bit irritated, because I'm like, y'all, like, it wore good on me. I'm sorry that there's people all over TikTok and YouTube that are like, oh, this foundation wears horribly. It did not wear bad for me. So with that being said, obviously, as you guys can tell by the title of today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the Fenty Beauty Ease Drop Blurring Skin Tint. I want to let y'all know right off the bat, this is normally not really a product that I would gravitate towards. However, now that I've gotten older, I've said this time and time again, I do really appreciate a more like medium coverage foundation. When I was younger, y'all, working at MAC, oh my god, everyone there at the counter wanted me to love Face and Body so much. If y'all know Face and Body, it's basically the same exact thing as this. It's a very lightweight, light to medium coverage foundation, you know, which you can consider a skin tint as well. I feel like this is just a foundation, because obviously if you can get it to a medium coverage, it's a foundation, even if they want to label it as a skin tint, you know what I'm saying? But now that I'm older, I really was excited to try this, because from what I had seen on TikTok as well as Instagram Reels, I was like, you know what? This actually does look like you can build it to be a medium coverage. Something that's light coverage, like light coverage, isn't going to work for me. I feel like I do have a little bit too much redness. Obviously, you guys can see right here, have a little bit of darkness underneath my eyes, as well as I do have a lot of like, you know, pecas and a little like moles and stuff like that. So I don't like those to be fully covered, but I do like them to be kind of like a medium coverage, you know what I'm saying? So I was really excited to try this, as well as this is supposed to be long wearing, so I'm really curious to see how this is going to wear throughout the day, considering it is a light to medium coverage, and I would expect it to be a little bit more on the hydrating side. I am going to go for a walk today. Y'all know I've been trying to be a little bit more active this year, and I'm going to try to go for like a 4-mile walk, so we're really going to see how this wears throughout that. Just to let you guys know right off the bat, I am in the shade 9. By the way, too, y'all, I actually just ordered my color, because on KVD's website right now, they just did another restock of the Good Apple Foundation. I just ordered the shade 39, so I'm going to try that out in a future video to see how that color matches with me, because y'all know that shade medium 27 was, it was ghostly on me. And there was a couple of people in the comments that were like, oh, I feel like the shade matches just fine. I'm like, are y'all watching the same version that I'm watching? Because, woo, I looked so ghostly. I don't know how they consider that to be medium. Anyways, y'all, we'll get into the full details and application, of course, of this skin tint within this video. So if you guys are interested in that, of course, go ahead and keep on watching. If y'all are new here, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Turn on your post notifications so that way you'll get notified when I upload a new video. And make sure you guys give this video a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And let's go ahead and get into it. I forgot to mention in the intro, I do apologize if there is a humming in the background. It's warm today. Our weather is so trippy here in Southern California. Like, I cannot believe it can be 90 degrees during the day and then literally drop down to 50. I don't understand it, but anyways, I have to have the fan on right now because it's a little toasty up in this garage, so I do apologize that there is a humming. One thing that I wanted to point out within the details of this is, y'all, you guys know I've said this time and time again if you guys watch my reviews or even on my live videos when we talk about makeup products, I always have this like irritation for Sephora saying that every product is good for everybody. Well, within my Good Apple foundation review, I was reading the about section or the details section on the Sephora website on the app. I don't know if it's just the app or whatnot, but if y'all know, if you guys are familiar with Sephora, they used to say on there who it's good for, which they would say it's good for people with oily skin or people with dry skin or normal skin. You know what I'm saying? And I used to always say before, it really bothered me that they try to label every single product like it's good for everybody. And I'm like, that's just simply not the case. Now it's completely gone. I mentioned within my Good Apple foundation review, I'm like, it's not there anymore. And it also for this Fenty Eavesdrop, it's not there either. So I'm kind of like, huh. I wonder why they got rid of it, because I don't know. I just kind of feel like if somebody's obviously shopping for a foundation or any type of product, they want to know who it's good for. They want to know if it's appealing towards people with dry skin or oily skin or normal skin or combination skin. You know what I'm saying? And now it's gone, which I find a little bit weird. But anyways, y'all, this retails for $29.50 for 1 fluid ounce, which is the standard side of foundation. Technically speaking, it's 1.08 ounces, so I guess you get a little bit more for $29.50, which I feel like is a little bit on the pricey side, especially if you're going to be building this up to a medium coverage, which I kind of feel like most people will. By the way, before we get into this, I just want to let you guys know they're kind of labeling this as like apply it with your fingers. I 100% will not be doing that today. I will be trying it out with a brush and a sponge. I do feel like a sponge will be very, very wastely. However, I do like the finish of a sponge. Y'all already know that. Me and fingers, it's just never going to work. I don't care what the product is, it's just not going to work. I've tried it a million times and it's just, my skin just doesn't do it. I told you guys before with my broken capillaries, it'll just drag right over that and it'll look terrible, so I'm just not even going to do that. Anyways, y'all, so this is what it says on the details section of Sephora. What it is: a lightweight, buildable light to medium coverage skin tint that leaves skin looking blurred and smooth in flexible shades for all. Coverage light, finish natural, formulation liquid. It says what else you need to know. This is an easy to apply flexible skin tint Rihanna wanted to create. It quickly and visibly evens out your complexion with a blurred effect. The Hydra Blend Complex and humidity, sweat, and transfer resistant formula has a smooth texture that lays well with primer and skincare. So it seems pretty promising, being that it does have all of those claims, which obviously wouldn't tell that it is long wearing. So this is what it says on the back of the container. If you guys are interested, it says light to medium coverage for all skin tones, blends and blurs to instant perfection, light as air. So I'm actually really excited to try this because, like I said, this is normally a product that I wouldn't really go for because it does remind me of MAC's Face and Body, and I just did not like that whatsoever. I absolutely loved it on other people. Just on my skin, it sat in every single fine line. It had no type of coverage, even though it's labeled as a light to medium coverage. It did not cover, build up to a medium coverage on me. I'm just like, oh, I tried so many times to like it. It just wasn't for me. Anyways, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and put on some primer and zoom you guys in so that way you guys can see how this applies. All right, y'all, so this is what the component looks like right here. By the way, I did put on some of the Hangover primer. I don't know why, and I'm sure a lot of people just don't really care about this, but I really like the container. I just really like the design of it and the way that it looks. And on top of that, too, it's so compact, too. Like, it looks like so small. Honestly, if I was looking at this, I would think that there's less than an ounce in here, but there is definitely a little bit over an ounce in here. So I don't know why, little things like that. It is in a little squeeze tube. So what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to go ahead and start this off with applying it on a sponge. Like I said, I probably wouldn't recommend doing this because it is going to waste a lot of product. The sponge is going to soak up a lot of the product, especially being that this is liquidy. Let's see. Oh, you know what? It's actually not that liquid. Oh, you know what? Never mind. It's pretty liquidy. So it is going to waste quite a bit of product, but I just love the finish of a sponge, so that's just me and my personal preferences. Obviously, you guys can try it with your fingers or try it with a brush, however you like. I'm not going to try it with my fingers. I just feel like, ugh. Maybe in the future, like, I'll try it on live, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but I just feel like that wouldn't be fair to give it a wear test with that because it's going to already look separated. So, anyways, this is it on the sponge right here. By the way, once again, I am in the shade 9, so let's just go ahead and put this here. Okay, yeah, it's definitely pretty liquidy. Spreads out very, very easily. So I did kind of put a little bit on there. It's hard to tell you guys exactly how much that I put because obviously it's not like a pump, you know what I mean? So I can't be like, oh, just one pump, but let's go ahead and see. Well, I will definitely say, like, right away, it definitely does even out my skin tone. You guys can see from right there. Alright, so as you guys can see right there, this is the first layer. I am going to build it up just a little bit more. I will say it definitely does even out the skin tone, if you guys can see. However, it's not going to completely cover my redness. It does tone it down a little bit. It doesn't really cover my pecas, as you guys can see from right here. I have two that are just very prominent that are still showing through, which honestly, y'all, like, I feel like when I was younger, I used to be like, I want to cover it, and now that I'm older, I just don't really care as much. So as of right now, I will say with this very, very light coverage, I actually kind of like it. I feel like it does even out the skin. If I obviously wanted to spot conceal, I can definitely do that. However, like I said, I just don't really feel the need to do that anymore. I just feel like, you know what, some imperfections can show through while I even out my skin tone, and I like that. So I do want to say, as far as the shade, I don't know if it's picking up on camera. It is just a little bit too orangey for me. However, this is only available in 25 shades, so it was kind of limited. It was like the shade 8 was too light for me, the shade 10 was too dark for me, and I feel like this was the closest match. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a little bit more on my sponge. Actually, kind of a lot came out on there, so we're really going to see if this is able to be built to a medium coverage. Oh yeah, that's kind of like a lot, but you know what? I'm going to take it underneath my eye. I'm going to set this side right away, and I am going to be setting it with the Charlotte Tilbury powder. Y'all, I've just been so in love with that powder. And another thing I wanted to mention actually about the KVD Good Apple Balm is that setting it with that, I personally feel like it was really, really good to set with that. I haven't seen anybody else online. I've watched several reviews of that, and I hadn't seen anybody else actually set their foundation with that. And I feel like that is super, super mattifying and keeps it put all day. So I definitely want to set this skin tint with that, because I want to, you know, obviously see how it's going to wear throughout the day, and as well as I just love that powder so much with every foundation I've tried it with so far. So, okay, so this is building up right here. I definitely don't feel like it does cover everything, but it's not supposed to. Keep in mind, it is supposed to be a light to medium coverage, but I'm going to be honest, I really, really like this right here. As you guys can see, it definitely does even out my skin tone. You can see my imperfections underneath, but that's totally fine. That's what this whole thing is for, and honestly, as of right here, I'm actually liking this, and I'm liking it more than the MAC Face and Body. I'm going to compare it to that within this video because I worked with that product so much, and I feel like it's pretty much the same thing. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm not going to spot conceal because I do want my imperfections to show through. Definitely you can spot conceal with this. I just, like I said, I don't really care if they show through. Okay, so I'm going to be taking the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finishing Powder to set this. This is in the shade 1. Within my Good Apple review, I actually set it with the shade 2. I feel like I said that so weird. Shit it. Set it with the shade 2. Within today's video, I'll be setting it with the shade 1 because I do feel like this is just a little bit too dark for me. Looking at this up close, I just want to note, it looks like there's nothing on my skin. I really, really like the look of it. Obviously, it's very light, so it definitely should look like there's nothing on the skin. But looking at it up close, I was like, oh snap, this looks really, really good. It looks like a tinted moisturizer, which in the past I never really found a good tinted moisturizer, but that's what this looks like. So I'm just setting this, and then I'll go ahead and try this side with a brush, which I have to be honest, I don't think on my specific skin type, it's not going to be good with a sponge. I mean, with a brush, but I'm going to try it anyways. But I'll switch to sponge if it looks tore up. So that is this side set with the Charlotte Tilbury powder. I feel like it looks really, really good. To be honest with you, if my skin looked like this, I wouldn't even wear foundation on a daily basis. Y'all know on an everyday basis, I pretty much wear the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin Powder. Absolutely love that. It gives me a good amount of coverage, and I just like to even out my skin tone before going to like Walmart or Target or grocery shopping because I just feel like I get so red. This looks really good, and up close it does not look like there's anything on my skin. I'm sure you guys can see there on camera, it just looks like, oh, my skin is enhanced, you know, obviously compared to this side. You guys see all of the redness and imperfections and all that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now, like I said, I don't think that this is going to be good with a brush on my specific skin type, but I'm going to try, obviously, for the sake of letting y'all know if it's good with a sponge. But I just always feel so unfair doing it with a brush. Y'all know I've said this before because I know my skin, and being that it does have those broken capillaries, it's like things like just peel over top of it and it looks very patchy and separated. But I'm gonna go ahead and try, and I'll just go ahead and stipple it on with a brush. And obviously, if you guys don't have my same, you know, skin problems, I feel like it'll be good for you to do with the brush because you will be not wasting product like you will with the sponge. Because definitely with a super liquidy foundation like this, it's going to soak into the sponge and waste product. But let's go ahead and see how this is with the brush. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see this on camera, but y'all, it's actually staying good on top of my broken capillaries. You know what? I'm starting to wonder if this retinol that I had been using is really helping the top layer of my skin, because I noticed that within the Good Apple foundation review. I don't know if it's just this brush. Y'all know I've told you guys before, if I'm ever going to use a foundation, I even use my powder form of foundation with this brush. I don't know if it's just this Hank and Henry Nikki brush, but it's actually not picking apart on my broken capillaries. It actually looks really good. And y'all, I don't know if you guys can tell, but this is giving more coverage than with the sponge. I actually really like the sponge coverage. I do feel like it looks like I have nothing on my skin. With the brush, it does look like I'm wearing kind of like a light to medium coverage foundation. I can see the foundation on my skin. This one looks like absolutely nothing. So I do think if you guys want a little bit more of a full coverage, then use a brush. If you guys want it to look extremely natural, then use a sponge. But like I said, you are going to be wasting product in that case. But it's actually looking really good. But you can definitely see that I do have something on my skin. It definitely does look very lightweight though, but I feel like it looks really, really nice. Okay, and then because I used a brush on this side, what I'm going to do is take a little stippling brush right here and actually take this underneath my eye just to see how much coverage we can get from this underneath my eye, since I didn't do it on this side. So basically, I'm going to say within this review, this is going to be the more full coverage. Well, let's say the more medium coverage side, and this is going to be the more light coverage side. Because I'm going to build it up on this, and it definitely does look like I have more coverage over here. Honestly, I like both sides though. Like I really do. I feel like this side over here looks like, in person, I look like I have absolutely nothing on my skin, which I really do like for like an everyday basis. Or if you guys are the type of people that like wearing like a little bit of tint to go to the beach, you know, not necessarily a full-on foundation, I feel like this would be really, really nice. So as you guys can see right there, you can actually get pretty good coverage with this. I feel like that actually evened out all of my discoloration underneath my eyes. You guys can see from right here, this is still there. But I will say though, this is starting to get a little bit patchy on this side with that amount of coverage. So I'm taking a little bit of a sponge here, I'm taking a sponge here just to go ahead and try to get that patchiness to go away. The coverage does definitely look really, really nice on this side with a brush. But yeah, that little patchiness I don't really like. So okay, I feel like the sponge is taking it away. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is right away hurry up and set this so that way it doesn't sit into my fine lines and creases. I'm actually going to go ahead and do my forehead off of camera. I have realized that my reviews end up being very, very lengthy, and I want to try to cut them down. So I'll go ahead and do it off camera and then come back in and do my check-in. But let me just go ahead and set this on camera so that way you guys can see how this will set with the brush. Okay, so this is this side all set. So this is the brush side, this is the sponge side. Obviously, you guys can see the brush definitely gives more coverage. I just want to say, by the way, that little patchiness that was happening on this side because of the brush, as soon as I was setting it with the Charlotte Tilbury powder, it just all mended back together and looks really, really good. You know what's really crazy is the red side of my face actually has way more red pigmentation in there. And I feel like I can see on my left side that there's actually more red showing through rather than the right side, which is kind of a trip. So the brush definitely gives more coverage. I just want to note that. For my forehead, I'm going to go ahead and do it with the brush, because I do like it a little bit more coverage, even though, like I said, I do like this side as well too. I don't know. By the way, y'all, let me just say I absolutely love the Charlotte Tilbury powder. It's super expensive. It's $45, but oh, I've had it for like what, 2 or 3 weeks now, and I love it so much. I just feel like it makes your skin look bomb. One other thing I wanted to note as well too, before I even set the skin tint, my pores my pores on the side of my nose are looking very, very blurred. I can't even really see them, which is really good because obviously this does have the claim to be skin blurring. So far so good. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my forehead off of camera, and then I'll come back in and do a time check-in. I want to do this little check-in actually before setting my forehead. I was starting to do it with the brush, however, I had to go in with this sponge because it started getting super, super separated and splotchy. I tried stippling it, blending it out, and it just looked really, really bad. So I'm going over it with a sponge right now to try to tone that down, but just wanted to let you guys know with the brush on my forehead, especially right here in the center, which I never really have any problems with any products right here in the center of my forehead, it started looking really, really bad. So trying to blend that out a little bit because it looked really patchy and really separated. All right, y'all, so it's currently 3:51 right now. When I was setting my forehead with the Charlotte Tilbury powder, it started looking perfectly fine. I don't know, there's something about that powder that I feel like even if your makeup looks a little bit patchy or something, as soon as you blot it in, maybe it's also because of the Tati beauty sponge. I love setting my face with this. It just brought it all back together and my forehead looks completely fine right now. No problems at all. So 3:51 yet again. I'm gonna go ahead and try to keep this on for maybe like 6-7 hours. I don't really know exactly how long. I do want to know, as of right now, I absolutely love this side of my face. This side of my face. I'm looking at the viewfinder, so it's the opposite. This is the side with the brush right here, and I feel like it looks really, really good. The coverage, I feel like, is very beautiful. I absolutely love the coverage. This side is good. Obviously, you guys can still see my redness and stuff like that showing through, as well as my under eye. Sorry, I keep getting confused because looking at the viewfinder. I will say though, as far as for my forehead, y'all, oh my gosh, it was looking horrible with the brush. So I don't know what's going on with that. For some reason, this side of my face, I feel like it looked really, really good with the skin tint. My forehead was a no-go. It looked so bad, so peely, so separated, so patchy. And then as soon as I went over it with the sponge, it started getting a little bit better. And then as soon as I completely set it with the Charlotte Tilbury powder, it looked absolutely perfect. So as of right now, you guys can obviously look at this and see what side you prefer more. I'm pretty sure y'all would probably like the side with the brush. The coverage just looks better. I feel like this is like fully medium coverage on this side, and this is fully light. So I feel like this is a good indicator for you guys. So anyways, y'all, I'll do a check-in, or maybe I'll just do my final. Y'all know I've been doing that recently. I just kind of been like keeping it on for like 6 hours and then doing the final. If I plan on keeping it on over 6 hours, then I'll do a mid check-in so that way you guys can see how it's wearing throughout the day. If anything is going terribly wrong with it, then I'll do a check-in throughout the day. But let's go ahead and see how it wears. I will obviously put on some brows and, you know, all that good stuff around my face because I know around my eyes looks horrible. So anyways, I'll do a check-in or my final. We'll see at the end of this video. All right, y'all. So it's currently 9:45 right now. So I've actually had this on for about 6 hours now. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this review only because I really want to take a shower and get to bed. I went on a 5-mile walk and this is what it looks like. And honestly, y'all, I'm pretty shook by this, and I'm really, really surprised because in my mind, I definitely thought it was going to be like MAC Face and Body because that foundation just kind of runs off of my face. It doesn't really stay long. It sits in all of my fine lines and wrinkles. That's going to be my one and only complaint about this. I do want to say right off the bat, this is definitely sitting in my forehead wrinkles really, really bad. I'm not sure if you guys can see on camera, but if you guys watch my other reviews, y'all would know with the Charlotte Tilbury powder, whenever I set a foundation with it, my forehead is typically pretty good. This looks pretty bad underneath my eyes, like where my under eye is. I don't really get this creasy and this wrinkly, and this is definitely sitting in the fine lines and wrinkles as well as on the side of my nose. However, I do want to say though, I absolutely love the way this side looks. Like throughout the day, like looking at it right now, I feel like my skin looks like my skin but enhanced, and looking at it very, very up close, it does not look like I'm wearing anything, and I love that. And I definitely thought that this would have ran off of my face by now, considering I did go for a 5-mile walk, and y'all know with my fat ass, that's a lot of work, okay? Going on a 5-mile walk, like it took a whole lot of work, you know? It took me like 2 hours, so I did really think that the foundation was going to come off, and it did not. I know I said earlier in the application portion of this review that I definitely did like the brush side better because it did give more coverage. I do want to say though, now that I've worn it throughout the day, I actually like this side better. Obviously, looking straight at me right now, you guys can see that this side is pretty much fully covered. Like you don't really see any of my redness, and right here you can see my redness, but I actually don't really mind it too much because it is toned down, and honestly, y'all, up close and personal, it doesn't look like I have anything on my skin, and I absolutely love that. So my one and only complaint about this would be that it does sit in fine lines and wrinkles, because up close my forehead does look really bad. Underneath my eyes, to be honest with you, I haven't tried a product that looked this bad underneath my eyes in a long time. This looks really, really bad, but I do definitely think if I did put a concealer, like if I put on the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet concealer or Tarte Shape Tape, my under eye would have been just completely fine. This definitely did sit up in there pretty bad, but overall I really, really like this, and I'm very surprised by that because I definitely thought that I wouldn't like it because in my head I just already felt like it was going to be like MAC Face and Body. Overall, I do want to say though, I know I said earlier I like the brush side better. Now wearing it, I definitely do like the sponge side better. I just feel like it looks like absolutely nothing on my skin. My skin looks just so completely natural on this side, and I really, really like that. On this side, wearing it throughout the day, it definitely does look like makeup. You know what I'm saying? But I would consider this to be the more medium coverage side. It definitely doesn't look cakey at all, but it looks like makeup, if you know what I'm saying. So overall, me personally, I like it better with the sponge, but once again, that is a waste of product. But I know this may sound a little bit dumb to some people, and it may sound a little bit wasteful, but if it costs me a little bit more, but I like the finish better, then I'll go ahead and eat the cost just to enjoy that finish more. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, overall, I would recommend this. If you guys have a lot of fine lines and wrinkles, I would not recommend it. Definitely not, because it sat in all of these fine lines and wrinkles on both sides with the brush, with the sponge, even on the forehead too. And I do have to say that the Charlotte Tilbury powder does an amazing job at keeping my wrinkles intact and keeping any type of cream foundation or liquid foundation from actually sitting in those fine lines and wrinkles. I feel like that is a bomb powder, and I've noticed my under eyes when I wear that powder is better than any translucent loose powder that I have ever used. So I really like that powder, and still with that powder I still have all of this sitting in my fine lines and wrinkles up here. It looks pretty bad on my forehead, but I think that I'm going to go ahead and try this again, but I'm going to try with a little bit of concealer and then use the powder as well on top of that too, because I think that would be better. But I absolutely love this finish. I feel like my skin just looks super natural, but like enhanced, you know what I'm saying, without being overdone. I really, really like it. So like I said, I definitely recommend it. I just don't recommend it if you have like a lot of fine lines and wrinkles. I just don't think that that would be very good for you, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, y'all, if you guys have this foundation, let me know what you guys think about it. If you guys are interested in trying it, let me know your thoughts and opinions, what you thought about my review, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Peace out, Girl Scout.